started. I love to get started. Welcome to all of you who are here. I'm sure we will be welcoming folks along the way on the call, but I'm really glad that you've made it. We are recording so that we can share this out for folks who are not able to get here. We know a lot of our out of school time folks, there's never a great time, right? But so we wanted to make sure we could record this and get this to folks. This is May Mental Health Awareness Month, and I am really excited to say that this is a collaboration across the movement. So this call and the next series of 5 calls, monthly webinars, will be hosted by the Mountain Midwest Hub. So Duluth Hub is where that's located, Duluth, Minnesota. So thank you to our colleagues there who are helping support and make this event possible. And huge thank you to our mental health innovation team and our TLC. And we do have folks from those teams on this call. So thank you for all of your work. For all of you, I'm just thrilled that you're here because this is the first time, to my knowledge, that movement-wide we're celebrating mental health and really lifting up those messages about mental health and how we all have mental health, the importance of mental health, how WISE can support mental health. So I'm just thrilled that you are here. I know I've said it several times at this point. I'm going to give you a little bit of the lay of the land. So I am Sarah Johnson. For those of you who do not know me, I am the Joy Labs. What is that? You might ask. Well, that's basically me and all of my skills training and experience over the last 30 years. I work as a prevention, youth development, health promotion person, as well as my work as a licensed professional counselor who spent many years at a local Y and who is currently still working with YUSA on lots of different projects related to mental health. And the Joy Labs is also me as a community engaged artist. So it was a little bit of a rebrand for myself, going into business for myself as a consultant, community engaged artist, community educator back in November. And here I am today, still getting to hang out with my Y people, which makes me so very happy. So I want to make sure that at the end you will get this slide deck. So at the end, we'll be adding the link in the chat. But I don't want to distract you with it now, but know that you'll get this slide deck. And within the slide deck, there's many gifts of links to things. My website is one, but also other links to things that I'll be referencing during this presentation. Wanted to give you my intention for our time together. So we have 45 minutes together today. And really, from my perspective, it's an excuse to celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month, knowing that every single day is Mental Health Awareness Day. We have mental health every day of the year. So we're using this as a great excuse to celebrate, lift up, amplify our messages around mental health. Specifically, I'd like to share with you the community care model for mental health that we have been testing and really rolling out throughout the Y movement. Lots more fun stuff to come, but wanted to share with you a little bit around that model, what that means, how that fits and connects with the work that we do, and especially how community care and self-care are actually really intimately, intricately interwoven. We cannot have one without the other. So that's really what I wanted to focus on with you today. My non-intention, I always have to say, I am a counselor. I did not just trick you into group therapy. Believe me, you will not get a bill for this. And in fact, a lot of the focus today will actually be a little bit more learning, whereas the webinars that will be coming up the next 5 months are going to be more focused on self-care practices and different strategies, actually have some meditation involved. Having said that, I do want to give us a chance to arrive today with a bit of a meditation that I will invite you to. But to give you a sense of our time together. So we will begin with an arrival. Like I said, that will be an ability to really kind of an invitation to get here, both physically and emotionally. As with any invitation that I offer you, you can say no, thank you. You can do something else, and I'll give you that instruction in a moment. Then I want to share with you about community care and the community care model. Talk a little bit about then what is self-care? What are we even talking about with that? I feel like it's been very commodified and, you know, we don't even know what we're talking about at this point. And then finally, I want to make sure that we get a chance to take it with you. So moving to our arrival, I'm going to invite you to find a posture that is comfortable and balanced for you. Now, I'm going to remain seated for this, but you might feel like standing up. You may prefer to actually move around during this. That's all okay. This is up to you, what feels right to you. For some people, it helps to close their eyes. So you may wish to close your eyes as a way to focus. And I like to start with my feet. So when I'm grounding myself, this is a grounding practice. I like to start by pushing my feet into the ground, maybe wiggling my toes if that's available to you. And actually just bringing my awareness to the bottom of my feet, noticing the ground below me. And again, as I'm trying to give myself a moment of respite and rest, I might wiggle into my seat a little bit more so that I can notice the seat supporting me from below and maybe even behind. So see if you can give yourself a moment to relax your posture and allow the seat below you and behind you to just support you in this moment. Sometimes people find it helpful to even kind of wiggle around and maybe stretch a little bit. Ooh, just notice if there's any points of tension in your body that you're able to let go or let be, as the case may be. And for some people, they find it helpful to ground down through your breath. So actually bringing your awareness to your breathing. Sometimes people like to put a hand on the chest so they can feel the rise and fall. Sometimes people prefer putting a hand on the belly. Sometimes people just like to find a posture in which they can just notice the gentle in and out of the breath, both the in and maybe even slowing down the exhale. And maybe even taking a few more deep breaths, both in and out. And as you take one more in and out, just noticing what's happening in your body as you allow that oxygen to enter your brain. How does that feel? You may notice yourself feeling distracted by stuff going on inside or around you, and that is perfectly normal and perfectly okay. So just noticing it, allowing for it, and just gently bringing your attention back each time you're distracted, floating away, bringing that attention back, floating away, bringing the attention back. And as you are arriving and settling and grounding, I just invite you to bring to mind your intention of arriving today. What is it that you were hoping to get out of this time together? This is an opportunity to take care of you, knowing that you so often throughout your day are caring for others. So this is an opportunity to take a pause and honor yourself. And you may even wish to, maybe you want to pat yourself on the back. Maybe you want to give yourself a little hand, snap. Maybe you even want to give yourself a little bit of a squeeze. Oh, I love the squeeze. It always feels good. Or even a hand on your heart. Just a sense of gratitude for yourself, for showing up for you. So thank you for arriving for yourself. We're going to begin transitioning our attention into our content for today. So any wiggles or stretches or maybe fluttering your eyes open, maybe another deep breath in and out, something that helps you begin to transition your attention back here. I'll invite you to do that now. And bring your attention here when you're ready. Welcome back. I want to invite you in the chat to feel free to share any number of things. So you could share a greeting from your culture, whatever that means to you, just a hello and where you're coming from. And if you'd like to share anything about what you noticed during that mindful meditation, feel free to share that as well. A helpful practice in mindfulness is the noticing when you get distracted, bringing yourself back, and then a reflection on what you noticed. So in the chat, I invite you to share a greeting and where you're tuning in from. If you'd like to share what brought you here today, what you're hoping for, if you'd like to share what you noticed, please feel free to do that. I'd love to hear from you. So, mental health, what are we even talking about here? Mental Health Awareness Month is about bringing awareness to the fact that mental health is simply how we think, feel, and act. We all have mental health. We're doing it all the time. So we're thinking, we're feeling, we're acting all the time. This is what we do as humans. So how does this fit into the community care model? When we're talking about community care, we're talking about each and every one of us having a role. And so what does that even mean? So mental health community care is a form of informal support. So who is doing that support? It's community as medicine, right? So community members providing informal support. What it really focuses on is mental health promotion. So when we're talking about community care, we're not talking about training everybody to be a therapist. We're talking about helping equip all of us to know how to take care of ourselves and each other. And by doing that, we are encouraging and increasing behaviors that support good health in general, because our mental health is actually a part of our physical health. It is contained within our physical container, just like our cardiac health, right? And our pulmonary health, all of that's contained in the container here. And when we do activities that support our health, it supports the whole package, right? We also, when we're talking about mental health promotion, are talking about increasing our protective factors being the things that help us stay healthy, and our resilience. And believe me, we all need resilience. This world is a very difficult place. Why are we doing that? Well, we really want to reduce the risk of mental health challenges. We also want to reduce the impact that mental health challenges have on us. And so when we're thinking about reducing the risk, we're talking about anywhere on the spectrum where we are with our mental health. There are things we can do to better or worsen our mental health. And we want to be focusing on anywhere anybody is, helping build the strength, the resilience, the toolkit for caring for ourselves adequately, as well as our community. So when we talk about mental health community care, we like to have this kind of flipped pyramid. So you can see in the yellow part here, in the smaller part of the pyramid, we have our primary and specialty care. So these are folks who are trained mental health professionals. They might be psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers. They might be crisis responders, right? So it can be all sorts of folks who are trained and provide formal support. So technically, I am a licensed professional counselor. I am a formal support. I'm not currently seeing patients, but I have the training to be a formal support. You notice on the top of the pyramid with the green in the community care, that's everybody else. That's everybody, including me as a formal support. So whereas I am technically a formal support, I am also an informal support to all of the people in my life that I love, including all of you. You're now in my community. So we are all informal supports to others. Oh, and right on cue, Snazzy Pants has joined us for the pet therapy section of this call. Thank you, Snazzy. So when we talk about community care, then really focusing on that health promotion, prevention or risk reduction, early intervention, meaning we want to try to catch things the earlier the better, because just like any other problem, if we can address it earlier, it's easier to do something about. It's easier, and it really reduces the likelihood of struggling and suffering. We're also talking here then about supporting healing and recovery. This is an important piece that I want to make sure that we're explicit about. As we've been testing some of these materials, it's been implicit to me that we are talking about supporting healing and recovery anywhere on the spectrum. And in some of our most recent testing, we had some really great feedback from folks to make sure that we are being explicit about it. So I'm being very explicit today to say anywhere on the map, and we're all over the spectrum, right? Some days I'm healthier than other days. I am somebody who has a history of depression and PTSD, and I'm happy to say with the right supports, I was able to heal. I no longer have those diagnoses. I don't have those symptoms anymore. So I was able to heal and recover. For some folks, they continue to have symptoms their entire life and can be very healthy. And so the kinds of things that we do to support our members and our teams are the kinds of things that support our physical and our emotional and mental health. So essentially, community care is about taking care of ourselves and each other effectively. So when we're talking about what that means, the best way we can provide care to others is through what's called co-regulation. Some of you may be familiar with this. We do have a Go kit, and at the end I'll be sharing some resources with you that are available to all of you for free right now. One will talk a little bit about emotion regulation, but to give you a little preview of that for those who maybe aren't familiar with that. Self-regulation is a skill that we develop throughout our lifetime. We develop it through our relationships with others, and those of us who are fortunate enough to have a stable caregiver or adult in our life when we're very, very young, that's one of the really important and key places where we can learn that. Luckily, we continue to develop throughout our lifetime. So if we are not fortunate enough to have that in our childhood, we can still continue to heal and recover and develop those skills. So we learn those through those relationships, those supportive relationships, safe and supportive relationships with others. We also learn it through practice. And the practice I'm talking about in particular here is self-care. Now, co-regulation then, that's one of the best ways we can provide care to others. That is helping others learn how to self-regulate. And so we do that through modeling. We do that through building those strong, supportive, safe relationships. We do that through teaching explicitly those skills and labeling those skills. So co-regulation, self-regulation is necessary to be able to develop the ability to co-regulate with others. And important to know, we can't provide co-regulation if we're dysregulated. What we do provide if we're dysregulated is co-dysregulation, which when you look around the world right now, it's like, oh yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. So if many, many, many of us are dysregulated at the same time, it's not a pleasant place to be, right? So for me, that's one of the most important things as I've been going through, especially these last couple of years where our globe has been under just so much stress in so many different directions. I remind myself the importance, if I want the world to be a peaceful place, I need to cultivate that from within, because one of the best ways I can cultivate that with others is through that co-regulation. Co-regulation goes both directions, right? So I can pick up your regulation or dysregulation, and you can pick up mine. Co-regulation goes both directions. So when I think about community care, and I think about self-care, are you starting to see these connections here, right? So, all right. Thank you, Aletta. So self-care, community care, intricately connected. So I have a bold proposal for you today. Here it is. Here's my proposal. Care for yourself as well as you care for others, at least as well as. Now, I'm imagining you're all like gasping in shock, which is why I put this GIF in here. Makes me laugh every time. And you're still gasping because you can't believe this bold proposal. And oh yes, you might be gasping. Okay, this is just me cracking myself up. I have no idea if anyone else thinks any of that's funny, but I find it hilarious. So, okay, my bold proposal is that you take care of yourself at least as well as you care for others. And I would love to invite you in the chat to throw in there, why do you think I'm boldly proposing this? Why do you think I'm telling you at least as well as you care for others, you need to care for you? Or it's a good idea. Why might I be recommending that? Ooh, interesting. That was exactly the opposite of what you revised yesterday. Well, if you want to send me their address, we can maybe have a little exchange. Yes, okay, I love it. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Yes, can't give away something you don't have. I love this. When we're thinking about self-care, community care, right? Like if I am not well, I am not going to be able to show up well for others, right? And you know what? It feels better. It turns out when I actually turn off my stupid phone and get in bed and sleep, I wake up feeling better the next day. What? I wonder if there's a connection there, right? Yes, I love that. Put on your oxygen mask first. You are worth it. These are so good. We can't take care of others if we're broken. If the fountain is dry, no one can drink. Ooh, I have not heard that one before. I love that. And you know, quite honestly, people depend on us. People depend on us. We are not why people because we don't care about others, right? We are why people because we have the privilege and the honor to serve our communities. We've chosen this, right? And so if we're going to take that privilege and that honor on, we need to care for ourselves at least as well as we care for others. And here's a couple things. So what am I even talking about? So sometimes when people hear self-care at this point in our goofy culture, people think of the kind of treat yourself thing, which that has its place. But when I'm talking about self-care, I'm actually talking about the stuff that keeps us alive, right? I sometimes share this metaphor. When I was a kid and at the end of the day, my mom would say, it's time to brush your teeth. And I would like throw myself on the floor and I'd scream and I'd cry and I'd do all the things, right? Why? I have no idea. I brushed my teeth this morning and didn't cry or scream at all, right? So that is a self-care activity. It's not a very glamorous one, but it is one that helps in a lot of different ways, right? It doesn't necessarily guarantee I'm not going to get cavities, but it definitely reduces the risk. I didn't used to like that behavior, and now I do it without even thinking. In fact, if I don't brush my teeth, I'm kind of grossed out by myself, right? So self-care, just like any other activity, is something that we can learn and get better at it through practice. And the way we think about it, right? The way I was thinking about toothbrushing as a child is different than the way I think about it now. Now I receive it, right? So we can shift our mindsets around these. So what are some of those activities? Well, I'm talking about the way we treat our body. So fueling our body with the right amount of fuel, right? So if I'm super active, I need more fuel than if I'm sitting around watching Netflix all night, right? The kinds of fuels that I use, the way I move my body, the way I rest my body, these are really important things. Intentional deep breaths don't fix anything, but they help calm our nervous system. That's a self-regulating activity. And if I am self-regulating through deep breaths, inviting co-regulation with others who will sync, right? So deep breaths help me calm my system, which just helps me be a little bit more, I don't know, smart, logical, let me say it that way. But it also helps encourage other people to take those deep breaths. Being mindful, so noticing, checking in with yourself periodically, like, how am I doing? Oh, I haven't gone to the bathroom all morning. I need to go to the bathroom. Or like, hey, I'm kind of holding on to some resentment from that meeting 3 days ago. What do I need to do about this, right? What's going on internally gives us important information about what we need. What's going on externally helps us know how we want to respond in a proactive way versus reactive way. Really important life skill, asking for help when we need it. So asking for help with small things, big things, and everything in between, really important life skill. And if we are wanting others to also learn that skill, one of the best ways we can do it is by modeling it. And bonus, it helps people feel good, because then if they get to help you, they feel good. It's a win-win-win-win. So self-care, community care. Practicing healthy coping skills. So trying to get a whole load, a whole toolkit of things that help you, doing things that you enjoy. So, whether that be putting your feet in the grass and wiggling your toes, hugging your pet or your kid, right? It doesn't have to be an extravagant thing, but something that you enjoy can really, really help. Taking your medication as prescribed. So if you have medication that you are prescribed, classic human thing to be like, I feel better, I don't need my medication, when often that's why we feel better. So, just be in touch with your medical provider. If you are on medication, you're thinking about going off or changing, or you don't think it's the right medication. Also know that there's lots of things that can be considered medication. I'm putting it in air quotes, right? So like connecting with others, that's like medicine, right? So thinking about what is medicine for you, whether it be actual medicine or things that can serve as medicine, like enough water, hydrating during the day, right? There's that connecting with others and a sense of purpose. That's one of the cool things about being a Y person, is that we have this cause that connects us all, right? So that is a really cool piece. Setting healthy boundaries, also a really important piece to self-care. So a couple of things I want to hit on here. So as we're thinking about self-care connected to community care. So if there's a part of you that's hearing me say, like, feel like I'm like giving you the crook eye and waggling my finger and saying, you need to take care of yourself. That's not what I'm doing. I am suggesting that it is helpful to think about how these things connect. And if you're kind of having a feeling like I am wagging my finger at you, that's maybe something to notice and see if that's something worth exploring and seeing like, I wonder what that means that you're hearing it that way, what that resistance might be about. I think a lot of us have been programmed to put everybody else first. And I'm not suggesting that you don't put other people first. I'm just saying it has to be in balance, right? We can't just put people ahead of our needs. We need to balance them. So just notice if what you're hearing me say. But a couple other pieces I want you to think about here. When you care for yourself, you're setting yourself up to be self-regulated, which means you're building a good foundation, right? So the more we are taking care of ourselves consistently, regularly, like it's not just like a mental health day, which sometimes we need, right? Sometimes life gets to us and we need to take a little bit more of a break. That's not real feasible for a lot of us, for most of us, most of the time, and kind of defeats the purpose, right? Even better if we are celebrating May is Mental Health Awareness Month every day. I'm like picturing a Mental Health Awareness Day hat that we can wear with a big feather. I'm just going off into space on my own. So when we care for ourselves, we're setting ourselves up to have that good, solid foundation. Also, when you care for yourself, you're doing modeling, which is such an important piece to what we do, right? Especially, we know in all of our Ys, pretty much we have these little people who are there that we are working on developing into healthy adults. And if what they see is the adults around them not caring for themselves, that sends a pretty loud message about how to be. And so if we want to be developing the healthy adults, we need to be the healthy adults we want them to become, right? So modeling those behaviors. Also, of course, you know, as many of you said in the chat there, when we care for ourselves, we're really increasing our capacity to sustain caring for others, right? So I can care for others a lot longer if I'm better rested, if I'm taking better care of myself. Here's another piece. When we care for ourselves, we're increasing our own resilience. So, you know, we all need resilience. This is one of the really, really helpful ways to build that resilience is by being gentle and kind and respectful to ourselves. So treating ourselves the way that we want others to be treated, right? So really extending that same generosity and that grace to ourselves. A reminder, the best way we can provide care to others is through co-regulation. Now, I have an important caveat I want to share. And the finger's going up because this is an important one. And I'm just starting to kind of feel my way around how to share this. And so if you have questions about it, or if you have, you know, feedback on how to think this through and talk about this, I would welcome it, because I know that, you know, wow, the world, right? The world. And many of our Y leaders and people across our communities are experiencing burnout and exhaustion and just fatigue, right? Our nervous systems have been in overdrive for a very long time, and they're not designed to do that. So we are definitely seeing burnout. We're seeing other kinds of stress and struggles, right? So it's so important for me to share with you that you have not failed if you have not been able to prevent burnout just through self-care. Self-care alone will not prevent burnout. And important to know that unsupportive systems contribute to burnout and mental health struggles, right? So just self-caring is not going to cut it. This is where self-care and community care are so intricately connected. Health inequities, right? Things like racism, transphobia, all of that stuff contribute to our burnout, contribute to our mental health struggles. So again, you're not going to self-care your way out of a deeply flawed world that has systemic inequities built into it, right? So really important that you don't hear me saying on this call, like, just take care of yourself, it'll be great. That's because that's not accurate. Unsupportive systems make self-care very difficult, and in fact, you know, can get in our way of it, and at the same time make it even more important that we care for ourselves. Because if we are finding ourselves in an unsupportive system, we at least need to offer ourselves kindness, right? And if we're able to advocate for a more supportive system, I mean, this is what I'm hoping we're doing in the movement, is really taking a look at our practices, our policies, our cultures around how we treat ourselves and each other, so that we can be building YMCAs across the movement, across the globe, that really live our cause of strengthening each of us, empowering each of us, right? And looking at those systems. How do we make supportive and equitable YMCAs, organizations, associations, teams, programs, right? And how can we pair those with those self-care practices to reduce the risk of burnout and other kinds of struggles? So, important caveat. Okay, here's a fun part. I am going to invite you in the chat to help brainstorm, because this is where the collective power of our brains in this movement are going to be super helpful. So, micro self-care moments is what I'm calling this. The question: what are in the moment actions you can take to care for yourself while you are caring for others? So thinking about on the job, what are micro movements, micro actions that you can do while you're there? Because we can't always just take a vacation, right? Now, please plan your vacations. I do want you to do that. And what can we do in the moment? Breathing exercises, counting, checking in with yourself. I love these. Take a pause. These are great. fuel my body with nutritious foods throughout the day and water. I love that. Ooh, yeah, release your shoulders, look out the window. Oh, let's do that right now. Ooh, 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 that was brilliant. Stay hydrated. Oh, good point. I'm going to drink my Bloom, elderflower, jasmine, and violet kombucha. Stretches. Going outside for a few minutes. Yes. Opening the window. Ooh, I love that. Say thank you. Gratitude. It's a huge thing. There's a bunch of science behind it. I know it sounds kind of hippy dippy, but gratitude, saying thank you, shifts things. Taking a sip. Don't skip lunch. Yes, please. Prep tomorrow off. I love that. Count to 10 in your head. Water my plants. Yeah. Close your eyes for a short period. Pray. Breathing. Say no when you're able to. Offering help at a later time. Yes. Oh, Jaylid, I love that one. So I'm a yes person. I think a lot of why people are yes people. I discovered in the last few years that I can still say yes to everything if I say yes. In 2025, I can do that. Or yes, next Thursday I can do that, right? Like it doesn't have to be right now. I love that. Ask for help from coworkers, lean into your team, right? That's literally what a team is there for. Give a very beautiful smile. Oh, I love that. Close your eyes, do a quick internal check, go to the bathroom, laugh. I love that. Send a text to your dad. Gratitude and do something creative after work. Put encouraging quotes on the walls. Yes. Meditate. Brain dump. Oh, brain dump is so helpful. Smile, give hugs. Oh, these are amazing. These are incredible. So what I'm hearing you say in a lot of these is really bringing some mindful awareness to you, to your posture, to what's going on inside, right? To what are your shoulders doing? What's my tone of voice doing? What's my attitude, right? Am I hungry? Am I tired? Like it's really allowing yourself to be responsive to the information, the data that is held within your system, your body, your physical container will tell you pretty much everything you need if you allow yourself to pause and reflect. A really helpful way we can support this in each other is to ask each other how we are and practice that, like mean it. So that genuine, like, how are you doing? Take an extra 30 seconds to really allow for a check-in. These are incredible. I encourage you to save the chat if you have not already, because that's your list of hot topics that you can post somewhere to remind you when you can do it. So thinking about all of the things we said were kind of our basic self-care, those are similar strategies that we can use on the job, right? So how do we connect with our coworkers? How do we ask our coworkers for help? How do we allow ourselves to check in? What is our medication at work? Our medication at work might be making sure that at least once or twice during your shift, you go hug the babies in the child care center, right? Or you go connect with that racquetball player who's been coming for years, who like always makes you smile because they like tease you every time, right? Like, so what is your medicine while on the job? Question for you as we're starting to begin to kind of wind down our time together. How can you remember to bother to do the things that help fuel your soul? Who can help support you in that? So if in this very moment you have a coworker in mind who's a good support for you, I encourage you to instant message them, text them, email them, or write a post-it that says, check in with Dana about helping support me, because she always makes me smile, right? Dana, I'm looking at you. So in this moment, if they are going to be a helpful accountability buddy for you, I strongly encourage you right this minute to text them and say, please remind me to breathe more often, right? Or whatever that is. And I love that, Kiana, the post-it note on your desk. That's so smart. I'm a huge post-it note fan. I also plug things into my calendar. Actually, I, give myself intentional prep time. I also give myself intentional rest time, and I just plug it in there to remind me to do it. Okay, that's a lot, and we're coming to the end here. So I want to make sure to share with you some takeaways here. If you take nothing else away from today, the best way we can provide care to others is through co-regulation. Self-care, because of that co-regulation, is so intricately connected to community care. And we know that in our communities, we don't have equitable access to strategies for self-care. So even more important that we build those supportive, equitable YMCAs, environments that really support self-care and community care being possible for all. One of the most important life skills, ask for help when you need it. It is a kindness. In case you are looking for 24-hour-a-day kind of support, or someone you know is, there's a few different lines here. 211 is mostly national. In the Chicago area, I believe, I think it's a different number, although in July of this year, we're going to be going to a national number. So we'll be sharing more information about that across the movement as that becomes a reality. But the Hope line is a text line available across the country. So feel free to use that, as well as the National Suicide Hotline. That's a phone number that you can call. You all know, because you're here, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we do have the link to that here, and we can throw that in the chat for you too. We will be updating that post, and we're hoping that people will share what you are doing for yourself and with your teams at your own wise. We would love to hear what you're doing. That's one of the great ways that we can learn and support each other in the movement. I want to remind you, for some of you, you may not know that there is a free app that was sponsored by the La Crosse Area Family YMCA, my alma mater, and community partners. So free app available to support resilience building in yourself, around your own dinner table, around your whys, with your teams. Yes, and actually the specific topics for the remainder of the series, if you can throw the survey in there, that would be wonderful, Kisaya, because I don't know what they are, because I want to know what you think. So if you wouldn't mind taking a literally 2-minute survey and sharing what sorts of topics you're interested in, feel free to also throw it in the chat if you have ideas of things that you would like, but that survey will help us with that. Literally 2-minute survey. You can also register for the next 5 in the series. I really want this to be helpful for you. The next 5 will be there'll be 30 minutes total, a 15-minute practice and a 15-minute topic. So depending on the topics that you're interested in, we'll be offering that. If you were not aware, we do have a mental health page on Link. We will put that link in the chat as well. That's a great place to find our Go Kits and all kinds of other things, including the recording for this will go in this area right here. So finally, just really invite you, as you transition to the rest of your day, I'm hoping you take the next 15 minutes to allow yourself a little bit of self-care time, whether it be get outside, drool as you stare out the window for a minute, just take a quick break and just allow yourself to reflect on something you're planning to take away, what your next steps are in caring for yourself as you care for others. So there's that survey. I want to finally just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, please know that you are so valued, and the work that you do is making a huge, huge difference in this world. We need more Y people who are well regulated to help spread that love. I'm going to hang on the call. We'll stop recording, but if you want to chat or ask any questions, I'll stick around for a little bit. But I want to thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Feel free to unmute and say goodbye in some way. It's always fun to kind of hear from others, but thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. And we miss you.